me be clear. If you're abroad, it's time for you to come home.
Can I be honest? Don't know where I went wrong. I thought we were going strong.
So, what's new with you guys? It's crazy right now, isn't it? This COVID stuff is just all-encompassing. Mostly how I feel about the whole thing is just impressed with the courage and bravery of all the frontline workers and the people that are making difficult decisions in the Canadian government right now. All my friends who are social distancing and self-isolating. I'm just blown away by everyone's ability to quickly respond to this. But I've had another feeling that's been just kind of stirring around in me for a while, and I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring it up, but something in me says that this is a really important part of our collective processing of this moment. And that has to do with the fact that I am driving home from what was supposed to be a 5-week road trip. My wife and I and the kids had planned a trip that was like to a tiny cottage on the east coast of America, and then down to Florida, and then to the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina.
I just need to make a start. Forcing this heavy heart in the right way.
And all that is canceled. We are now heading back to Canada, and I really am a little disappointed by that. Like, this was supposed to be the time that I didn't think about church or Hamilton or local life, and now all I can think about is church and Hamilton and local life and how people are doing back home, which is fine because we're in a global pandemic. You know, this is how it should be. But also I am a little disappointed. And my disappointment is nothing compared to a lot of my friends. I had a friend who was working on a show for a year and it was about to go on stage. It was canceled. And another friend who was going to fly to Guatemala to shoot a coffee documentary. Canceled. Another friend was about to debut her first short film at South by Southwest, but then South by got canceled. Another friend who was trying all she could to hold off and have her wedding, but her wedding's been canceled. I mean, I think they'll still get married, but the whole party thing, she gone. And it's just so disappointing. Like, of course we have to do this. We have to take all these precautions. We have to do all we can to avoid making this worse. But we also can't deny that there's just a lot of grief. I mean, people's plans and hopes and trips, what they had saved for and worked for and looked forward to for years, is gone in a moment. And if we're going to be able to step fully into this season, we need to be able to air that grief. It's almost humorous how much we plan out our lives and how we set all of our goals and line everything up as if we have any control. I mean, it's kind of what we have to do, and I love that stuff, but moments like the moment we're in remind us just how little control we have. Reminds me of this text in the book of James, which was written by Jesus' brother. And he writes, "Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this place or that place and work for a year and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes." Or to quote one of my favorite authors, Anne Lamott, "If you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans." So, sitting in the front seat of my car with my family eating Chick-fil-A outside of Baltimore, not how I imagined this thing going 5 weeks ago. And yet, it's where we are. And whether it's the limitations of our body or certain limitations in our life or a global pandemic, there are just times where we can't say no. Like, you can fight this as much as you want, but you can't do what you thought you were going to be doing in this time. And so you have to say yes to that. And you have to grieve that change to your plans. And yet, there's something else we can do once we've said yes and accepted the new limitation. And that's an idea from improv that you might have heard of called the yes and. So in improv, if somebody hands you a banana and they say, hey, someone's on the phone for you, you don't say, that's not a phone, that's a snake, or that's a banana, or get away from me. You don't say no, because you've got to say yes. But then you add on your own thing. You say yes, oh, look who's on the phone, it's the Prime Minister. You add on something. You say yes, and you do something new. And in this time, I've seen all sorts of creative ways that people around us are saying yes, and. Like a friend who is putting on live concerts on Instagram Live. That's a way of saying, yes, I'll be quarantined alone, and I'll do these live shows. Other people I know can't go into work anymore, so yes, they'll receive the limitation of being at home, and they'll spend a kind of quality time with their family that they couldn't otherwise. Reading books and listening to music they've meant to, learning new skills, learning instruments, spending time in Skype and calling their parents. You've probably talked more to your parents in the last couple of days than you have in months. I mean, there's all sorts of new things that can emerge when we're willing to first grieve and say yes, and then we're willing to say and. And I'm going to throw this one out specifically to anyone watching this who's a Jesus follower. This can apply to anyone, but I don't expect anyone to say and in this way. But if you're a follower of Jesus, your yes and has to include and care for the people around me. Who are the most vulnerable in your neighborhood? Who are the people in your church community who can't pay their bills? Pay their bills, contribute to them, take care of local business, take care of your neighbors. I mean, this applies to everyone, but I'm especially putting that challenge out to followers of Jesus. Don't just, yes, I'll be home and I'll binge Netflix all month. Make sure that your and extends radically beyond you, and whatever you have, you give and extend to others. And if we do that, yes, we will be disappointed about what is, and we will have all sorts of new adventures opening up before us.
Use the right lane to take exit 94 Peace Bridge, Puerto Rican.
Vacant. I don't wanna be this way. I don't wanna be this way for much longer.